If you only look at the numbers, you might think Sterling Sharpe had a long, accomplished NFL career. 5 Pro Bowls, 3 first-team All-Pros, multiple seasons with over 1,000 yards receiving, led the league in receptions 3 times. The kind of resume that gets framed in Canton, but the truth? He only played 7 seasons, and it wasn't age, ego, or a slow decline that ended it. It was one hit, one play, one sudden, cruel moment in a meaningless Week 16 game in 1994 when everything stopped. Just like that, the Green Bay Packers lost the most dominant receiver in the league, not named Jerry Rice. Brett Favre lost his go-to guy, and football lost a Hall of Fame talent whose career ended before it even hit its prime. Sterling Sharpe was that good. He was a route technician with the strength of a tight end and the hands of a god. He played angry, fast, and completely fearless. And by the time the league realized what it had, it was too late. This is the story of how Sterling Sharpe went from unstoppable to unfinished, and how one hit robbed the NFL of one of its brightest stars. Before Sterling Sharpe ever caught a pass in the NFL, he was already a walking highlight reel in the South. He played his college ball at the University of South Carolina, where he became the guy from the moment he touched the field. And it didn't take long for fans, coaches, and future scouts to realize they were watching something different. Sharpe wasn't just another fast receiver. He was a physical mismatch, a technical savant, and a game changer every time the ball came near him. Standing 6 feet tall and weighing around 210 pounds, he had a frame built to absorb punishment and still break free. But what really separated Sharpe from other college wideouts was his hands. They were like fly traps. It didn't matter if it was over the middle, in double coverage, or off target. If the ball got anywhere near him, it was his. And he didn't just catch it, he snatched it. With attitude, he started making noise as early as his sophomore season, finishing with 52 catches for 966 yards and 10 touchdowns. But it was in 1986 that Sharpe fully unleashed. That year, he recorded 74 receptions for 1,106 yards and 10 touchdowns. Numbers that were even more impressive in an era when college passing games weren't nearly as explosive as today. Defenses keyed in on him, bracketed him, bumped him at the line, and he still torched them. He was so dominant at South Carolina that the school literally retired his jersey, number 2, before he even graduated. That's the kind of respect you only see with generational talents. And his presence lifted the entire program. Before Sharpe, South Carolina was an SEC afterthought. With him, they were competitive, exciting, and must-see TV every Saturday. By the time the 1988 NFL Draft rolled around, scouts were salivating. They loved his size. They loved his production. They loved the way he ran angry after the catch. There were questions about how he'd handle elite NFL cornerbacks, but nobody questioned the ceiling. Sharpe wasn't just a first-rounder. He was a guy who could be the best, and that's exactly what he became, almost immediately. The Green Bay Packers selected Sterling Sharpe with the 7th overall pick in the 1988 NFL Draft, and to this day, that might be one of the best decisions the franchise has ever made. At the time, the Packers weren't exactly a powerhouse. They were a team searching for identity, stuck in the post-Lombardi wilderness, trying to claw their way back into national relevance. And then Sterling Sharpe showed up and changed everything. He didn't need a learning curve. He didn't need a slow build. He hit the NFL like a wrecking ball. As a rookie, Sharpe caught 55 passes for 791 yards and a touchdown. Solid numbers, but just a taste of what was coming. By year 2, he exploded. In 1989, he hauled in 90 catches for 1,423 yards and 12 touchdowns, establishing himself as the guy in Green Bay. He didn't play like a sophomore. He played like a veteran who'd been dominating corners for a decade. Sharpe was a nightmare matchup. He was too strong for most cornerbacks to jam at the line, too quick for safeties to trail, and too sharp in his route running to double easily. He had no weak points. He ran crisp slants, deadly comebacks, violent posts, and fade routes that seemed to rise and hang just long enough for him to go up and take the ball like it was rightfully his. And he was mean. Sharpe played with edge. He blocked aggressively, talked trash with style, and carried himself with a chip on his shoulder, like he was constantly trying to prove something, even as he racked up numbers no one else could touch. From 1989 to 1994, he put together one of the most dominant 6-year stretches any receiver has ever had. 3 times he led the league in receptions. In 1992, he had 108 catches, then broke his own record in 1993 with 112. He made 5 Pro Bowls in 7 seasons. In 1994 alone, he caught 18 touchdowns, tying him with Jerry Rice for the league lead. But maybe the most impressive thing, he did all of this in a run-heavy league with rotating quarterbacks early on and no real offensive identity around him until Brett Favre came into the picture. And once Favre and Sharpe linked up, forget it. It was magic. 2 fiery competitors, both fearless, both talented beyond belief, and both capable of turning nothing plays into SportsCenter moments. Sharpe didn't just produce, he elevated. He made Favre better. He made the Packers dangerous. And just when it looked like the next 5 years would be filled with MVPs and playoff runs and Canton speeches, it was over. One hit, one wrong move, one silent moment that changed everything. It was December 24th, 1994, Christmas Eve, week 16 of the regular season. The Packers were in the middle of a playoff push, riding high on Brett Favre's rising star and Sterling Sharpe's dominance. They were playing the Atlanta Falcons at home, a game that felt routine. Sharpe had already logged a monster season with 94 catches and 11 touchdowns. Everything was clicking. Nobody knew it would be the last time they'd ever see him play. In the third quarter, Sharpe went upfield for a routine block on a run play. The impact itself did not seem intense, but as Sharpe hit the ground, it was clear something was wrong. His head and neck whipped forward violently. It didn't look like a brutal collision. There was no helmet-to-helmet contact, no flying bodies or explosive impact, but Sharpe stayed down, and when he got up, something was wrong. He finished the season somehow, still caught a few more passes, still helped the Packers win, but internally, his body was shutting down. The day after, Sharpe felt numbness in his upper extremities. Doctors ran tests. The diagnosis came back like a gut punch: cervical spinal stenosis, a condition where the spinal canal narrows, putting intense pressure on the spinal cord. The trauma from the hit had aggravated it severely. One more wrong hit, they said, and he could be paralyzed, maybe even killed. Sterling Sharpe was 29 years old, at the absolute height of his powers. He had 18 touchdowns that season. He had Brett Favre throwing to him. He was on a Hall of Fame trajectory, and it all ended on a basic block and a nothing play during a regular season game that nobody remembers except for that moment. The decision to retire wasn't really a decision at all. It was a medical imperative. He had no choice. Football was over, just like that. Sterling Sharpe didn't get a retirement tour, no farewell press conference, no tearful goodbyes in front of fans. His career just stopped. One week he was catching touchdowns. The next, he was done forever. It was a cruel, sudden end for a player who had so much more to give. And in a brutal twist of fate, the very next season, the Packers, now without their superstar receiver, made a run to the NFC Championship game. 2 years later, they won the Super Bowl. Sharpe never got to be a part of it. He laid the foundation for Brett Favre's rise, carried the team through the early years of rebuilding, and helped re-establish Green Bay as a contender, only to be sidelined just before the payoff. For his part, Sharpe never begged for sympathy. He didn't fade into bitterness or spend years begging to stay in the spotlight. Instead, he moved on. He pivoted into broadcasting and quickly became one of the sharpest, most respected analysts in football. No pun intended. He brought the same intensity to the studio that he did to the field. He was blunt, smart, no nonsense, and even as he covered the league, there was always this quiet undertone to his presence. What could have been? Even though Sterling Sharpe's career ended prematurely, his influence never did. Ask anyone who played with him: Brett Favre, Reggie White, Leroy Butler. They'll all tell you the same thing. Sharpe was different. He was the guy you built a team around, the kind of player who raised the standard in practice, dominated on game day, and made everyone around him better because he demanded it. He did end up making it into the Hall of Fame. And if you're looking for proof of the football DNA he left behind, look no further than his younger brother, Shannon Sharpe. Shannon, a Hall of Fame tight end in his own right, has never hesitated to credit Sterling for everything he became. In his emotional Hall of Fame induction speech, Shannon famously said, "You're the best wide receiver I've ever seen. I'm the only person in the Hall of Fame who can say this. I'm only here because of my big brother." That's not just a tribute, that's a legacy. Sterling Sharpe's game has also aged well. In today's pass-heavy NFL, where precision route runners and physical possession receivers are more valuable than ever, Sharpe would have thrived. Players like DeAndre Hopkins, Anquan Boldin, and Michael Thomas have all been compared to Sharpe over the years. Guys who run angry, catch everything, and wear defenders down. For 7 seasons, he was that guy. You game planned around him, you circled his name in red on the whiteboard, and more often than not, you still couldn't stop him. His career may have ended with 1 hit, but his greatness was never defined by that moment. It was built on everything before it, on every impossible catch, every route that left a corner spinning, every touchdown that dragged the Packers out of irrelevance and back into the national spotlight. That is the story of Sterling Sharpe. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to press the like button and comment down below. We are closing in on 10,000 subscribers and would love your support. Consider checking out our last video ranking the top 10 quarterbacks of all time.